Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Mark Knight with Farmers Keeper Financial. And Mark, we're seeing this morning kind of some mixed trade in both grain and livestock futures trade, but I want to talk about soybeans first because they are to the plus side. We rallied well off session lows yesterday. And why were we able, do you think, to kind of push off or brush off all of this fear about tariffs after the election?
Well, the truth of the matter is any tariffs that take place are going to be a longer term situation. It's not going to nothing like that's going to happen in the next couple, 2-3 months. So it was, purely market speculation reaction. We bounced back nicely, 18 cents off the lows yesterday. And we're next to even today. So people just really out there trying to evaluate what the market's going to do based on our new president and his policies.
Yeah. Do you think, Mark, that China will come in and try to buy a lot more before January 20th, before President Trump takes office? I'm sorry.
That's a great question. There's been rumors that, we've noticed it over the last 3 to 4 weeks. They probably were front running this election, to be honest with you. Although nothing's really going to change until, January anyways. But yes, I believe that has taken place. It was also due to, look, we were in a weather situation in South America that's drastically improved. They've gotten some rain. They've gotten more planted. They're ahead of planning now. And so things are progressing nicely. They were taking some of the risk off that they have with the South American crop by buying some of our beans. And, it's normal business, truthfully.
Do you think as well that there's a perception that Trump is going to maybe be a little bit harder on China in terms of even, they never met their phase one obligations all the way?
100%. There is a perception out here in the marketplace that he is going to hold their feet to the fire. We buy an awful lot of electronics and everything from them. The tariff situation will be interesting to monitor. There'll probably be, some pushback both ways. But I think long term it'll be positive for soybeans because look, they don't buy much else from us. And so I think Trump will hold their feet to the fire when it comes to soybeans. And but that's going to be longer term stuff. We're talking well out into 2025 for that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Although the trade war in 2018, we had an 8 handle in front of beans. And so that was kind of the fear coming in, wasn't it?
There could be a negative setback to the market a little bit. Obviously we're dealing with, not even to get into tomorrow's report, but we're dealing with a big crop and, some push from there. So you throw any negative world politics, policies, etc. on that, and there is a fear that this market could go lower for sure.
So we did have exports out this morning, converted to bushels, almost 75 million bushels. That's very strong. And what about the corn market? Very strong exports there as well.
Absolutely. Corn is followed beans path. I believe Mexico and Japan and some of the other players have been maybe front running this election a little bit as well. We've been strong there. Ethanol's been strong. So demand for corn, obviously we're dealing with cheaper prices here though. So, and we have a massive record crop that we've got to, push through here. And these lower prices will obviously help us as we're getting strong demand from ethanol and exports.
Yeah. Do you think that was part of the reason why corn had such a strong close yesterday? And do you expect that we're going to continue to see this kind of demand for a little bit of a while because we're at such good prices value-wise?
Yeah, I'm certainly hopeful. I would think so. We're, like you said, we're down here trading just above $4, and historically over the last several years, that's pretty cheap. Cattle prices are high. Ethanol is pumping away. You know, the world, we still have world issues going on with Ukraine and, you know, other geopolitical events that could possibly get going here. So, you know, the world looks at us to be the reserve for a lot of these grains. And, you know, I think that will, even though we have such a large crop to chew through, I think that we'll be supported at these levels. And, you know, I'm not saying that the bottom's in by any means, but I think there will be support from the marketplace at these price levels. And you're seeing good, solid demand, end users coming in and taking advantage of some of these lower prices. So, you know, I'm fairly positive, you know, but we've been stuck in a tight trading range for months, especially in corn. I mean, since July, we've been stuck in this, what seems to be a 20-30 cent trading range for the most part. And, you know, the play has been to, you know, we get 420s, 430, you know, start to sell it. We get down to $4. Let's buy it back. And so you've seen traders take advantage of that. It'll be interesting to see what gets us out of that trading range.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you what you thought it might be. It doesn't look like we're necessarily going to get fodder out of the report here on Friday. Most of the average trade guesses are pretty close to what we had last month, aren't they?
Absolutely. The bean one is slightly lower, which kind of plays in with, you know, a lot of the customers I've talked to over the last couple months. You know, good crop, but not record. The later planted beans pulled the average down for the farm. Corn is penciled in. Analysts have us exactly what October's report came in at. So no major changes really expected. You know, couple tenths off of on the bean, but corn is dead even with last month's guesstimate.
Yeah, no doubt. Even though, you know, exports, if you look at even this morning, only over 108 million bushels. And I think now our total sales are like almost 48% over last year. So USDA, do you think they'll make any demand adjustments, at least on corn, on Friday's report?
You know, obviously we're 2 months into this year's corn cycle, and they've got a lot of time to make changes. I wouldn't expect a major change on corn yet. It wouldn't surprise me if they penciled in, you know, 25 million bushels more or something like that to exports. But it'll be not a huge number. There's just no reason for them to make big changes this early in the year. But you're absolutely right. Commitments are strong, well up from last year. And obviously that's a factor of part of the factor is low prices. So
no doubt. So wheat market is down this morning. Is that mostly just because we are finally starting to get some rain in some of these HRW areas?
Yeah, you saw crop conditions improve drastically. Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, that hard red winter wheat area there had been really dry, and it wasn't just that area. It was most of the country. I mean, guys were, you know, they didn't catch a break from harvesting. I mean, we were like 30 straight days, and guys working 16-hour days getting the crop out at record paces. And then we finally, you know, wheat was getting planted. Guys were putting it in, but you know, it was put it in the dust, and you know, the old saying, plant it in the dust and the bins will bust, may come to fruition because we've gotten some good rains in areas that really needed it. So those crop conditions should probably continue to improve.
Yeah, but wheat, just like corn, pretty range bound here, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. There's not much of a story there.
And let's also talk a little bit about cash basis levels. What have you seen around the country? Because usually during harvest we see weakness, but it seemed like it was a little stronger than normal this year.
Yeah, it is, to the surprise of some. Generally speaking, we start to kind of, I mean, understand that we had a really an early harvest. We tore through it. Usually we get a little bit basis push. They always call it around Thanksgiving, because what happens is merchandising companies, elevators, look, they want to get their hands on as much grain as they possibly can. And usually, around Thanksgiving or so, the guys are done with harvest and they lock the bins and are going to just wait, maybe wait till after the first of the year, take advantage of some of the spreads that are out there, and wait to move most of the rest of the stuff. So these elevators and merchandising companies have recognized that hey, we're about done with harvest, and what do we got, 5% left at the most, and so they're out there bidding up for it because they want to get their hands on as much as they can between now and next year when guys will start to open those bins back up.
You bet. That makes sense. One last question for you. So we have the Fed decision that's going to be coming out here today. Talk about what you see and what impact that may have either on money flow in the broader markets and what that might mean for agriculture, including maybe even what the funds do here.
Yeah, great question. I think the consensus out there, they're still looking at a quarter cut. With I've seen a lot of reports, obviously, a lot of analysts out there analyzing what's going to happen with the Trump administration coming in. Stock market loved it. We rallied hard. The dollar rallied hard. Does that? Those are more bringing back inflationary type stuff. So I don't know if we're going to cut much more after this report. So that'll be interesting. From a fund standpoint, look, the funds have bought back a ton of shorts in the last couple months, right, especially on corn. I don't know. It's tough to say which direction they're going to want to go. At these levels, do they want to come in and establish new short positions? Is there a ton of profitability for them from 420 to I don't know where they could drag us to. Funds always push these markets around more than any of us think they should, but it kind of is what it is. But there's, like I said, we're at the upper end of the trading range now. Generally, funds don't position themselves for a lot of short-term type trade. They may kind of stay neutral till after the first of the year. I don't expect big swings either way. They're still fairly short soybeans, but and they're still short corn as well. But they've bought a lot back. So
yeah, they would need a reason to cover more shorts or go long for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, thanks, Mark. Mark Knight with Farmers Keeper Financial, and that's Markets Now.